Hi, and welcome to Mother's Quest, a podcast for moms like me ready to live our own truly epic life. I'm Julie Neal, a life and leadership coach, community builder, writer, and mom to two high-energy boys who challenge me to grow into my best self. I'll be right there. Where was I? Hi, everyone. This is Julie, and I'm here today with a short solo cast on the power of manifestos. I was reminded about the importance of planting seeds for the things that we want to see unfold in our life by a Facebook memory yesterday of my son Ryan 5 years ago with a counselor with his hand around Ryan as we were getting ready to say goodbye to Ryan for him to go off to sleepaway camp. Fast forward 5 years, I now have a photo of Ryan wearing a counselor shirt with his arm around Jacob, with Jacob going off, having his first experience as a camper, and the two of them being able to share this experience together. And this full circle moment unfolding absolutely came from me being an engaged, mindful parent, thinking about the experiences that I've had as a child that I wanted to bring to my kids, and helping to support both Ryan and Jacob to make the choice to do this for themselves. I absolutely think that this full circle mindful moment of engagement, these seeds that were planted 5 years ago that have now unfolded in this experience that both of my boys are having together, is part of me declaring that I wanted to live my epic life, and part of this first guidepost E in epic, engaging mindfully as a parent. When we get clear about what matters, when we set intentions, and then when we use those intentions to inspire our actions, we can start to live a life that is filled with the things that matter most to us. I hope that this solo cast, with a story about my own exploration with manifestos, a little bit about what they are, and some of the ways that we can express them, could be an invitation to you to create your own. So first of all, what is a manifesto? Looked it up in the dictionary, and it says it's a written statement declaring publicly the intentions, motives, or views of its issuer. I also liked the definition of a personal manifesto, which is a declaration of what you want in life. It helps you prioritize what's important to you and what you want to achieve, and it's an opportunity to outline core beliefs and to usher in change. I was also curious about the origin of the word. It is derived from the Latin terms manifestus and manifestum, both of which mean obvious. So there's something about making something obvious about what you really care about what really matters to you, about your beliefs, about your vision, that can be incredibly powerful. The idea to create a manifesto came for me the first time from Jonathan Fields, who is a podcast guest. He is the host of the Good Life Project podcast. And in many ways, he inspired me to create the Mother's Quest podcast. About 6 years ago, he was writing a book, and he wanted to write a manifesto to go along with it, a manifesto for living a good life. And he invited his Good Life Project community to come along with him through this course. It was really by taking part of this process that I grappled with what was it I was setting out to do with Mother's Quest. And in my first episode of the podcast, which I'm going to be sharing again next week as our Throwback Thursday episode, I talk about how rather than writing a multi-page document or a thesis about what Mother's Quest was about, I ended up one night sitting down at my kitchen table with a napkin and a pen and writing the word epic, and seeing that I could also turn epic into an acronym that could have the guideposts that I believed were the things that help us to live a life of meaning, an epic life while we're raising our kids. And that epic life framework, that simple acronym on the napkin, has ended up being the focus of all of my podcast conversations. It has been the launching point for a lot of the practices and the things that we do in my coaching programs. It has shown up in my first book, The Mother's Quest Inspiration Guide. It's in the daily pages of my planner. It is the thing I do when I do my morning practice in the morning and have a few minutes of meditation. I think about those guideposts and what my vision is for the day. It has absolutely become an anchor in my life. And it's a really meaningful thing to have, to bring yourself back to again and again, to remind you of what's important, and also to express to others what is important, to make obvious the things that matter to you. In the years that have followed, I've also found different ways to express my manifesto and have created some new ones. I've launched an annual tradition that came from an episode with Graeme Seabrook called the Manifesto Challenge. And I recently created a self-guided course in the Mother's Quest member vault, along with a reflection guide to help move us through a reflection process to help us get clear before then being able to create a manifesto. Again and again, I found so much meaning in creating manifestos as this guiding light. And so I wanted to walk you through a few of the different forms that they've taken in hopes that this trip down my manifesto memory lane may spark a creative idea for you. Idea number one, an acronym. As I just mentioned, this Epic Life acronym that flowed from pen to napkin at my kitchen table one night at midnight has ended up being such a simple and profound manifesto for me in my life. It both choosing a word like epic, it has this larger metaphorical meaning, but then when you drill down through the acronym mnemonic, it can have so much more nuance and really help you explain some of the other details that matter to you. That was my first manifesto. Then I recorded my first episode on the podcast, and I have since realized that that episode in itself is a manifesto. It's filled with the stories of what brought me to that moment in my life, about what my values were, about my vision was, and the commitment that I was making. So an audio recording can be another method for expressing your manifesto. Shortly after that, I wrote a poem that had a lot of the phrases and concepts and things that I had been talking about in Mother's Quest. And then Bridget from my team turned that into a graphic, kind of similar to what you've seen on the Lululemon bags. And I love the graphic because it's got, all of these different terms and phrases and ideas and values and messages. But every time you look at it, you see something else jumps out at you. And it's a really interesting way to have the manifesto continue to be fresh. And when you look at it, you take something different from it every time. So what I'm calling a graphic poem or a graphic representation is a third idea for how you can create and represent your manifesto. Fourth idea is to have your manifesto expressed as a picture or a painting. One year during the Manifesto Challenge, I hired an artist to do a pictorial representation of who I was becoming. And I gave her the different symbols and things that I wanted included in the picture. Another example of a picture that I feel has become a manifesto was the graphic image that Jen Jenkins Donor created for me the day of Mother's Quest 5-year celebration. I'll include a link to that as well. She listened to all the themes and the messages that she was hearing as we were sharing the ways that Mother's Quest has had an impact on all of us. And then she captured that. And she also included some words to reflect the picture that she created. And actually, I believe that she did that through collage. So it was images. And actually, now that I say that, I think about the fact that every year I create a vision board of my goals for the year. And I divided the 4 corners into the epic guideposts. And so the things that I cut out and the way that I assemble it together is still related to living my epic life, but it's in collage. It's through this vision board. So number 4 is through a picture, whether that be painting, illustration, or collage. And I'm sure there are many other ways too, but picture representation of the things that matter most to you. And then the last one I wanted to share is book spine poetry. So I was inspired by a page in Andrea Scher's book, Wonder Seeker. Andrea is a recent podcast guest, and I'll include links to all of these episodes if you want to check them out. I woke up on my 50th birthday I read a page in Andrea's book and I thought, I want to write a Becoming 50 manifesto using the book spines on my bookshelf. And so I pulled off the books that were calling to me, many of them that I have fully read, others that I'm still in the process of reading, but all that I knew had meaningful messages. And I assembled them and then sat down and wrote them out and added some additional language to hold it all together into something that has become my Becoming 50 manifesto that I have looked at again and again. And I feel like is a guiding light for how I want to step into the person I'm becoming in this year, in this milestone year. So those are 5 different ideas, all slightly different, some with audio, visual, some are poetry, short as an acronym, lots of different ways to come at creatively expressing the things that matter most to you. But in order to get clear about what you want to express, it's helpful to have a process, a reflective process to move you through that. And that is something that I did create in the Mother's Quest Manifesto Challenge in this new self-guided course. So my challenge to you is to say yes to creating a manifesto and to find a method for expressing it that speaks to you. It may be one of those 5 methods that I've mentioned. It might be something completely different that I didn't even think of yet that feels meaningful and valuable to you. And to share it with someone. If you want to share it with me, I'd love you to send it to me, julie@mothersquest.com. If you are a member of the Mother's Quest Facebook group or you want to join us there, that's a beautiful, amazing, supportive community to share your manifesto with. You could also share it on social media and tag me, or just share it with a special person in your life. But there is something powerful about the public declaration of what matters to you and how you want to live your life that really does matter. It creates some, what I like to call kind accountability, and it helps to make it real. It helps in your own commitment to yourself. So I hope this short episode about the power of manifestos, what they are, some different ways that you can express them, how they've shown up and made an impact in my life may inspire you to create one in your life. I want to close with a little inspiration for you by sharing the book spine poetry manifesto that I mentioned that I created on my 50th birthday. Here it is. A manifesto at the milestone of becoming 50. Child of the moon, wonder seeker, conduit of big magic. I am my mother's daughter and also descended from women who run with wolves. Daring greatly, I choose to live love now, to grow an awakened family, raising happiness in myself, my partner, and my children. From scratch, bird by bird, tapping the potential of my divergent mind, I will build conscious community rooted in just mercy, sparked by the essence of who I am and who we are. We should all be millionaires, materially and metaphorically, living in stress-free prosperity, tapping the power of emergent strategy alongside my wolf pack, learning and living in a spiral. I will remember we are always becoming and that you were born for this. I'm Julie Neal, and this is Mother's Quest. Thank you so much for coming along with me on this episode of the Mother's Quest podcast. I hope this conversation sparked something that will help you live your epic life. If you'd like to get show notes and learn more about how to join the Mother's Quest community, visit mothersquest.com. And while you're there, I would love it if you would follow the prompts to subscribe, leave a review on Apple Podcasts, and help us to spread the word. I want to end with some words to help light the way on your quest. Seize the day, love your people, honor your gifts. Until next time.